So today we're driving the Volkswagen Amarok, which is the third in a series of bakkies that I'm going to be testing. The Amarok is Volkswagen's answer to a very lucrative bakkie market, but it's taken them a while to kind of really get in there. Hilux still outsells everybody by like some margin. Other players are catching up. Isuzu's got quite a good track record. Mitsubishi have the Triton, which we drove not so long ago, and then there's Ford with their Ranger and so on. So of course VW want to play in this bakkie market simply because it is really lucrative. A lot of these things get sold every single month. But the Amarok to me has always been a little different from like the rest of the bakkies. It feels more like a VW sedan than an actual bakkie. So in stark comparison to the Isuzu that I drove a couple of weeks ago, this bakkie feels like it should come with a frilly dress. It's refined, it doesn't make nearly as much noise. You don't have that agricultural farm feel that the Isuzu gives you. Now that's a pro and a con at the same time. If you want a bakkie but all you're going to do is drive around town, then you're probably looking for an Amarok. If you want a bakkie but you are actually going to do some real work on the farm, then you probably want an Isuzu. And let me just add, if you want a bakkie that you really want to go off-roading with, then you're probably looking for the Mitsubishi Triton. So each bakkie kind of has its own strengths and its own weaknesses. Now I've no doubt whatsoever that this Amarok can do some serious work on the farm. The problem to me is the problem for me with this bakkie and the farm work is that it's like a really nice bakkie. It's luxurious inside, it's got leather seats. It's not the kind of thing you want to thrash around the farm and let different people drive all day long. It's just going to get absolutely wrecked and ruined. So I suppose this is more of like a suburban bakkie. Now don't get me wrong, I mean on the open road we're doing about 100 kilometers an hour at the moment. This is a very, very comfortable place to be. It drives really well. It comes with that sort of touch interface that's standard in VWs now. It comes with a bunch of sat nav. I mean this has all the features of a proper VW in a bakkie. It's got back seats that are relatively spacious. Front seats are no different to what you'd find in like a Tiguan or a Golf or something like that. And under the hood in the front you'll find Volkswagen's infamous 2-liter diesel engine. Yeah, the one that's involved in all the Dieselgate scandals. Emissions issues aside, it's a fantastic engine. It really, really is a good engine. The handling of this bakkie is fantastic. I mean, it drives like an everyday car, but it's enormous. It's a massive, massive bakkie. So back to the engine. It's a 132 kilowatt version of this engine, and I'm driving this bakkie ahead of driving the Amarok V6, which I should get in a few weeks, just to kind of do a comparison. Is this bakkie any good, or should you be jumping onto the V6? So for reference, I'm doing about 80 kilometers an hour through some twisty bends in a bakkie, and it doesn't feel top heavy. It doesn't feel like it's switching from side to side. So the 132 kilowatt engine does relatively well. It produces ample torque, ample power. It pulls really well on the open road, in normal driving conditions. On the open road and normal driving settings, it's an absolute beast for overtaking. It's a comfortable cruiser. I've done a little bit of long road driving in it. A bit noisier than your average VW diesel, but not unbearable. I mean, doing 100 kilometers an hour here, oh, there's a speed bump. It's got a really good suspension, which is to be expected if you're driving a bakkie. See, the thing with the Amarok is it doesn't feel like such a lump of car. Other bakkies kind of have this bigger, heavier feel to it. The Isuzu definitely does. The Isuzu KB300 feels heavier. It feels like when you're driving it, you're aware of the fact that you're driving a big, heavy car. In fact, you probably shouldn't drive that when you've had some medicine. This is just a car. It drives like a normal car. It doesn't feel as big as it is. It comes with an 8-speed automatic box. It is not a DSG box. It is just a simple 8-speed automatic box. The question is, if you had to take this bucky off-road, what would it be like? So I figured I'd go find out. So far I've driven out half a tank of fuel. It is an 80-litre tank. That's 490 kilometers. It tells me I can still do it about another 400. So in all likelihood we're in for about 700 to 800 kilometers comfortably on a tank of fuel, which is an average consumption of about 10, which is exactly what it's telling me there. Right, let's find out how this Amarok does off-road. You need off-road mode. So it doesn't have like a low range shift. Normally, like the Triton and the Isuzu had 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive high range, and 4-wheel drive low range. This doesn't have that. It's just got a button that says off-road, and a light on the dash comes up and says you're off-road. There is a diff lock option, which I'm not going to switch on yet. But as far as I know, the off-road function engages 4-wheel drive, what is essentially Volkswagen's version of 4-wheel drive low range mode. And it feels very low rangey. Like you can immediately tell the difference engaging the off-road function, that the car has kicked itself into low range mode. So the tires on the Amarok at the moment, pretty much street tires, so they're not really geared and built for ridiculous off-roading, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. So this road is quite rocky, and the Amarok's actually handling it really, really well. Suspensions are a lot more pliable than, for instance, the Isuzu suspension was. And the Triton was better than the Isuzu, but not as good as the Amarok. But now I want to see how she does in some of the softer stuff. So we'll engage the diff lock. Let's see how she goes. So to be fair, I have gotten stuck here once or twice. And I'm not that keen on getting stuck again. So I'll probably start off quite gingerly and just get a feel for what she can and cannot do. So let's see how low range mode with the diff lock on in the Amarok handles the sand. A lot better than I was expecting it to be. It's such a sort of comfy car on road. You'd sort of half expect the Amarok to be less capable off-road, which it certainly isn't. So Amarok does a lot of the work for you, which may not be what the hardcore guys want, but ooh, that just feels like the minute it gets like too soft, you can feel it really, really struggling. It doesn't feel great in the really thick stuff, but in the go where no golf can go kind of terrain, this Amarok's for the business. So what do we think of the Amarok? It's my personal favorite. If I had to like go Triton, Isuzu and Amarok that we've driven so far, the Amarok would be my personal favorite. It's the most refined on day-to-day use. Not as capable as the Triton, simply because the Triton actually comes with a flippin' Pajero underpinning, but capable enough to be able to go places where you couldn't take a Golf or a 3 Series. It's the most refined cabin. Most of the cars, like the interior's like pretty much the same stuff, but the cabin of the Amarok is just at sort of VW level. Everything's really well built, everything's really good quality materials, and it just performs really well everywhere, even with its frilly skirt on. I'd have the double cab like this one, The loading bay at the back is a little on the small side for any kind of industrial use, and you really do need it with at least a cover or a canopy. I think the canopy spoils the look of the car. I prefer it sort of just with a sort of bed at the back, but this Amarok is a really, really good option if you're looking for a bakkie but you don't live on a farm and you don't need to load 6 cows and 7 pigs every single day. I'd go for the Amarok. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe below. Lots more videos coming, more bakkies we're going to test.